Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. I'm joined by Kirsten Graham, a business growth strategist, co-founder of Six Figure Business Coaching, and a leader in helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses by working smarter. Kirsten has worked many years spent helping business owners grow their bottom line through smart outsourcing, especially when it comes to hiring and leveraging marketing VAs. She believes that too many entrepreneurs get stuck doing everything themselves, when in reality, freedom and growth come from building systems and a team that can take work off your plate. She's here today to share insights on how to double your income by using a marketing VA, the mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they try to scale, and what it really takes to build a business that supports the life you want, not the other way around. Thank you for joining us, Kirsten.
Thank you so much for having me. I could talk for hours about outsourcing, although I won't.
Perfect. Well, I'll have to cut you off at 20 to 25 minutes because that's about all my audience will sit for. So, Kirsten, before we dive into outsourcing and marketing VAs, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you into coaching and helping entrepreneurs overall with their business?
Sure. So my background is actually real estate. I started selling real estate. I eventually moved to the mortgage side. I went on to own a mortgage company and a title company. I was very active in networking, and I did a lot of loans for self-employed people. So I would see their business tax returns and their personal tax returns, and inevitably they would say, "Can I take you to lunch and pick your brain?" So I mentored other business owners for a little over a decade before I actually turned that into a coaching business. So kind of accidentally here is the way I would say it. And so that's really how I ended up in business coaching. And then the way I ended up in outsourcing was my now business partner, Jeannie Wilson, was scaling her agency at the time, and I was mentoring and coaching her. And she got really busy very quickly. And I said, "I've read about outsourcing overseas. Would you want to try that?" And she said, "Sure, if you'll help me." And that was 17 years ago. So we went on this really interesting, kind of a wild ride in outsourcing, because it was before Zoom, it was before WhatsApp, so it's a lot different back then. And we've outsourced to 6 different countries and literally have hired hundreds of virtual assistants. As a business coach, I went on to then help other clients outsource and just kind of fell in love with the whole concept that, smaller business owners can get the support that they need very affordably, but also these fabulous people halfway around the world end up working for awesome business owners. And so it really is this incredible win-win for everyone involved. And so I just have a desire to help business owners free up their time by delegating tasks, marketing, bookkeeping, software, those things that need to be done, but they don't need to be done by us.
So I know a lot of business owners, I've worked with many, and my wife is another business owner. They often struggle to let go of certain tasks. They struggle with the delegation, feeling like it's ceding some control, or maybe not, they can't expect as high quality or as reliable when they delegate. What would you say to a business owner in that mindset?
Well, first of all, did you start a business to have a job, or did you start a business to grow a business? Because a business is something outside of us. So that's one thing. The other thing is, it's like a skill like so many others. We weren't necessarily taught how to create standard operating procedures, or how to write job descriptions, or how to onboard a virtual assistant, right? So it's a whole different skill set. And it's like anything else, you can learn that skill set. And I believe, and I know it to be true, that if you hire the right person for the right job, they can often do it better than you. And that causes a different problem for a lot of people, because I think their self-worth is tied up in doing everything. So, and we see that a lot with people who spend hours in Canva creating social media posts. Sometimes that's because they don't want to go out and have the hard conversations, following up with that person that you talked to the other day, getting out there networking and meeting people to have those sales conversations. So there's a lot of reasons why I think small business owners hesitate to outsource, but inevitably it really does empower you to do what you do best and to grow your business, to support an incredible lifestyle for yourself and not work 24/7.
So, I think that's really helpful. I'm not one that struggles with delegation. I kind of prefer to delegate, and I've had a few attempts at outsourcing with mixed success. I may fall in the opposite camp where I might be a little overly trusting of VAs. For somebody in my mindset, how would you say that I could more effectively uh, do this and make sure I prevent some of the pitfalls of less supervision time? The tasks, they take longer, or they don't check in as frequently as they should. How do I prevent those sorts of issues?
Well, I love the saying, hire slowly,
Mm.
fire quickly. Most entrepreneurs do not invest enough time in the beginning to hire. The second thing that caught me is you said they don't check in as often as they should. You should reverse that and say, I don't set expectations and requirements for them to check in as often as I want them to. You're the boss. If they're not checking in, it's because you're not requiring
Okay,
it,
sure.
right? So it really is about leadership. We lead people, we manage tasks. And that's where I think having really clear documented standard operating procedures, using project management software, and having incredibly clear expectations. We meet with every single person on our team every week. They know what day that meeting is. They know what time that meeting is. If there's a typhoon, there was a big typhoon there Monday. And so we have a couple of VAs that are in the northern part of the country. So we got messages early on saying we're getting hit by a typhoon. We may or may not be there, which is what we expect from them. And then the people that were further south, they were on our calls. I live in Florida, so we call our typhoons hurricanes. So I understand the concept that sometimes you don't know, is that storm actually going to hit? Are you going to be out of power? Are you going to be out of internet? But I train our team to do what I do. And for example, if we were getting hit by a hurricane this week and I had this interview with you, I would have reached out to you and said, hey, Reed, we've got a hurricane heading right for us, and it may or may not do any damage. So I can reschedule this interview with you, or we can keep it on. But if I don't show up, please know it's because I don't have power or I don't have internet. Now I'm giving you the power to say, hey, Kirsten, I'm fine with that. Let's just see how it goes. If I don't see you, we'll reschedule. Or it gives you the power to say, no, Kirsten, let's go and reschedule. I'll get someone else into that slot. So it's about communication. So you need to have very clear expectations for communication with your team.
Okay, that's helpful. Now, I know there's several categories or specializations among the VA population. There's some generalists and there are like marketing VAs. How would you categorize these different types of VAs?
So first of all, you'll have a lot of people who want to hire a marketing virtual assistant. And what they want that person to do is to come in, basically read their mind, and be able to create content that is in their tone of voice using their sense of humor, which is never going to happen, right? So instead of having a virtual assistant trying to figure out how to write in your voice, which I find is often hard, even if you're hiring a copywriter in the US to somehow get into your voice and write exactly the way you want it done. We work with a strategy with our clients around either starting a YouTube channel, talking head style, or a podcast. Our clients then create great content every week, and then their virtual assistant takes care of their video editing, audio editing, uploading to all of the platforms, YouTube, creating social media posts and scheduling those, and setting up that email to go out. By having a structure where the client creates great content with a strategy and a plan, and then the virtual assistant does the same steps week after week after week. So that makes it easy because, again, there's clear expectations, there's checklists, everything is documented, everything is done the same way. Once you have something like that working really well for you, then you can start to work with your assistant and say, hey, I've got this great idea for a lead magnet. I've got all the content for it. Would you please lay it out and design it using my brand colors? And then they come back with that and you coach them on what you like and dislike and make changes. So once someone understands your voice and what you like and dislike when it comes to video editing or the graphic design that they're creating for you, then they can go on and do other projects for you. But in the beginning, we really focus on having our marketing virtual assistants have clear expectations around that one original piece of content each week.
That makes sense. Now, that being one of the early tasks that you'd assign to a marketing VA when they're first starting with you, are there other tasks that you'd recommend a business owner should start to outsource?
So everything that we've created has really come from just need. So one of the biggest mistakes, in my opinion, is that business owners don't take care of their bookkeeping. They intend to, but it always gets pushed to the back burner. That stack of receipts is haunting them. Tax time comes around and they're stressed out and they're, putting it off. They're filing that extension and then they're freaking out again in October to get it done. So we really help our clients to understand the importance of bookkeeping, and it's not just for tax time. It's so that you can really understand your profit margins, which of your offers are bringing in great money. Do you need to increase your prices? Where are you overspending? Are there things that you could stop spending money on and maybe invest it in a different way in your business? So bookkeeping is another area we find a lot of business owners struggle in. So we do have bookkeeping virtual assistants for that. The other thing is, I'm not super tech savvy. My business partner is, but we attract a lot of people that are more like me, not tech savvy. So having someone who can set up your lead magnets, who can build out all of your funnels and all of your automations and test those. You want to have a quiz funnel. You've got the idea, you've got the content, but then having a software virtual assistant who can take care of all that. So those are the things we really focus on, because those are the challenges that we see our clients have the most difficult time with.
All right. That makes sense. So I noted that you have a resource, Double Your Income with a Marketing VA. Can you tell us a little bit about what's in there and maybe where people can get it? I've got a few more questions, but I think this is a pretty interesting.
Sure. Yeah, you can grab it at outsourcingforbosses.com. And actually, we're in the middle of updating that lead magnet. I'm excited about that. But yeah, our goal is to help people understand the importance of ongoing and consistent marketing. I don't know if you know this, Reed. You've got a great podcast. I've watched a lot of episodes of it. It's awesome. But do you realize that in 24 months, only 7.5% of people will still be podcasting?
I believe it, but sometimes I'm so tired of this. I believe it. Go on.
Yeah. So, and we all know when it comes to marketing, it really is about having a strategy and then tweaking it and improving it and growing it over time. So with our clients, the goal is to help them create the strategy and figure out the best platforms for them to be on, and then how to leverage everything that they're doing within their marketing. And by having a marketing virtual assistant who takes care of the video editing and audio editing and uploads it, that means all I have to do is show up for my interviews. I show up, I interview, and I often book coffee chats with our guests because there's often ways that we can collaborate with them. So I feel like podcasting and podcast guesting is about relationships. I wouldn't have time to do that if I was spending all of my time on the back end. So that's what we really help our clients understand, that you're making money. I always joke that sales is the contact sport. We need to help you come in contact with more people consistently and have those great conversations. And you can't always do that when you're doing all the busy work on the back end. And again, a lot of times when we are doing the busy work on the back end, it's not because you can't afford $5 an hour. It's because it's safer than doing what you need to do to grow your business.
So tell us a little bit about engaging with you. You obviously have a great process and have done this for a long time, even pre-Zoom, like you mentioned. So first question is, what should a business be considering? Is there a certain milestone they should cross before they hire a VA? Or is there something that signals I've got so much on my plate, time for the VA?
We actually have a lot of people who are starting businesses who know going into it, they want to build a business bigger than themselves. A lot of times if they're retired, and again, they may be more like me and they don't have tech skills, they go into their business understanding that I am going to delegate the things I don't want to learn how to do. So I don't think it's a certain time in your business. I can tell you the worst time though. The worst time is when you're maxed out, you have zero time, and then you decide to hire. So you spend very little effort in the interviewing process, you don't have your structure in place, and it always fails epically usually. Anytime that you can delegate a task early on, sooner than you think you need to, I think is the better. So for example, if you don't love bookkeeping, it's not your jam, you don't absolutely get excited to sit down and do your QuickBooks or your Zoho books, why not outsource that? It's on average, it's probably going to cost you $20 to $30 a month to have a VA do that for you. If you could get that done, start learning to read your profit and loss statement by meeting with your VA each month, wouldn't that be better to empower you to make decisions than you spending the 3 to 4 hours doing that bookkeeping? When it comes to outsourcing like marketing, Are you strongly considering starting a YouTube channel? Do you want to start a podcast? Do you want to have a strategy like that that is very time consuming? And if you do, would it make more sense to start that with a team supporting you, with a VA on your team, so that you could focus on getting the best guest, becoming the best host, having great conversations and finding collaborations with your guest? So it's just thinking about, how do you spend most of your time doing what's going to bring in money in your business?
Okay. I like it. That makes a lot of sense. Now, so when they engage you, what do you do the vetting of the VA? Is it mainly a structure and the business owner does the recruiting and vetting and interviewing? How does that work typically?
So we like to say we're not an outsourcing agency. We coach our clients and we hire and train virtual assistants for them. So for example, with our marketing VAs, we interview them, vet them, we hire them. They go through a paid internship with us. They have to graduate a paid internship with us before they can go to work with the client. With the client, we're helping them with their strategy, but we're also providing all of the SOPs that marketing VA has already been trained on for production. So then we're coaching our client on how do you lead people and manage tasks through SOPs and project management software. So our goal is really about helping the business owner, because again, it's not a skill we all have. I mean, I didn't have it. It's something that you learn, right? So helping them have this great process for having long-term success. Our clients keep their VAs for years and years and years. So that's the goal. When you get someone good on your team, to keep them. So once we train that virtual assistant, the client hires them. That VA works directly for the client. So we're not involved. I mean, our clients are always welcome to come to the calls and ask questions, and we'll coach them. But we feel like it's very important for the business owner to have a real relationship with their team. And so paying them directly and managing them directly is how that happens. With bookkeeping virtual assistants, I'm obviously not training them on bookkeeping because they all have degrees in accounting or finance. They're QuickBook certified, sometimes Zoho certified as well, and they have a minimum of 3 years in bookkeeping experience. But then they also go through a training process with us for what we expect from them to help our clients, because we know who our clients are. Our clients who are generally the people who don't necessarily love bookkeeping, and just the thought of it kind of stresses them out. So we have a process where that bookkeeper can really just jump in and help the client get everything up to speed and really do all the work on the back end while empowering our clients to understand where their money's going and to make smart decisions based on that information. So again, we spend a lot of time interviewing those bookkeeping VAs. Software VAs, it's the same thing. My business partner is brilliant with technology. So we have a white labeled version of High Level. We call it From Leads to Sales. So anyone who comes into that software, our white labeled version, the first thing that happens is one of our VAs actually sets up the software for them. And that's really their first experience working with a software VA. And we pay for that. That's something we give to our clients for coming on board with us initially. Then they have access to hire our software virtual assistants as needed, because most people don't need a software VA all the time. So some of our clients, the VA sets them up and they're off and running and they really never use our software. Other clients want to learn how to use the software. So they might hire the VA to meet with them every week to help them learn the software kind of hands-on and help them do things. And then we have other clients that are more like me. They just hire for everything so that they don't have to do anything on the back end of the software. So it really just depends on what support that client wants.
All right. That is a great overview. Well, Kirsten, I really appreciate that you've shared so much. And I think this is a lot of very practical guidance on how to get started. Now, I think people listening to this are going to want to work with you. Now, can you give us your links where they can find you?
Sure. Just go to sixfigurebusinesscoaching.com, and that's SIX, figurebusinesscoaching.com. At the top of the website, you'll see links to each of those programs. So depending on what you feel like is most important for you to delegate, you can look into that. There's also links to book a call with me if you have questions, and I'm happy to help you figure out, what would be the right thing for you to start off delegating.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kirsten. This was really helpful, and I hope we can send some people your way.
Thank you for having me.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.